How did you get involved on the board, this quite important government discussion, this government panel?
Well, I got asked on the Tuesday before the announcement to fill in a sheet and send my CV in. I had no idea what it was for, and and within a week I sort of got trickled information until the Prime Minister and the Minister of Health made the announcement, and that's when I knew it had happened, but I didn't know before then. So, Because
you have a background, don't you, in inspiring young people and advocacy group. Tell me about the organisation that you're a major part of.
So when I was 14, I got to be part of the first Pacific Youth Parliament in New Zealand, and from that we set up a trust which is all about Pacific young people sharing their voice and participating in our country and in all parts of it. I became the chair at 18, and since then we got quite involved in suicide prevention, and I got on the board of LEVAR, which is the suicide prevention lead for Pasifika, and now leads the National Suicide Prevention Program. And I guess because of the work that we've been able to do there and growing Pacific Youth Voice, the government was quite keen to have me on the board,
What is it you've been mandated to actually do? What is it? Because we know there's a mental health issue in Christchurch and across New Zealand.
Yes.
So what are you going to be actually looking at, because we know this already?
Yes. Well, we've got three kind of tasks. The first one is to listen to the voices of those who some of who have heard in the People's Mental Health Report, hear the voices we might not have heard. And I think that's probably the big area that we'll be focused on, because a lot of people have said to us, even contacted me already and said for some reason or another they haven't been able to share their voice because it might affect their employment, or they feel a sense of imbalance, which it's hard to tell the government maybe how you feel, but as an independent panel they can tell us, and then from those voices and the ones we've already heard, we create a report which we give to government, and then we give the recommendations that we feel our country needs.
Is your gut feeling that we simply just need more resources to tackle an issue that is bigger than what we want to at the moment as a country accept?
I think there's a lot of the issue we aren't accepting. I mean, we're hearing that 50% of people who have mental health issues aren't diagnosed with that and aren't seeking treatment. So there is like a bigger issue that we need to talk about and become aware of, even though campaigns in the past have helped. And funding definitely is one of the big issues. That was one of the top things that was raised by the People's Mental Health Report. So we're kind of keen to look at all of those things and make sure all of those things are considered.
As a youth advocate, and as you say, you've had a lot of experience with dealing with young people, people in the community, maybe people who are feeling depressed, and we all know those appalling statistics when it comes to youth suicide. The trouble is there's not a one-size-fits-all approach, is there? But as you say, it's probably also possibly to do with the fact a lot of mental health issues are going undiagnosed and then it's too late. Yeah,
definitely. Well, one of the things that I've seen LEVAR start in the last couple of years is in the National Suicide Prevention Program. And it's these kinds of trainings that we all... once we get aware of what people might be feeling and how we can support them, we're a better resource to work through it, and especially for those we aren't noticing. So, I think that's going to help.
Everybody wants to be listened to. Everybody needs to feel connected to something, don't they?
Yes.
And when you don't feel connected and when you don't feel listened to, you feel isolated.
Definitely.
But groups like yours are trying to change that, right?
Definitely.
Are you seeing a positive change with young people that you come across? I mean, you're young yourself, to be fair.
I think so. I guess I had a young guy come to one of our programs. We had a Pacific Youth Parliament that we ran last year, and at the end of it he was crying, and it was kind of, he had found a sense of identity that he hadn't before, and others would say the same thing to us. They hadn't found a sense of acceptance, and I kind of feel like we've got lots of that happening in our city at the moment. There is a lot of brokenness here, but the youth groups that I've seen work kind of show love, and I think that's something that we might struggle to use the word love, but we do need to, and that's kind of what's happening.
Do you think part of this is to do with the earthquakes, or do you think it's a lot more complex than that now?
I think it's both. The earthquakes definitely are still having an impact. I mean, some of the families that our trust has been working with still aren't accessing help, and might not recognise that the stuff that's going on is actually more difficult than they're giving themselves credit for. So, again, it comes back to this thing of maybe 50% of people who have a mental health issue not actually seeking help for it. So, we've got a big call to do.
Josiah, I think part of the problem is, and I might be wrong about this, I'm no expert, but I feel that as a pretty young nation, New Zealanders, we are incredibly judgmental. We are very critical of each other. And I don't see that same level of judgmentalness when I go to bigger countries, because there's too many people. People are too busy doing whatever they need to do. Although having said that, I mean, you could look to South Korea, one of the biggest users of, cosmetic surgery. They're very, all over the place with their self-esteem. So what do you reckon? Do you think because we are a young country, we have a small population, we see a lot more of each other. I think we tend to be very critical of each other in this country.
That could be very well the case, and we will look at that. I know for young people though, the pressure and the the impact of your friends' views is so challenging, and if they disagree with you or make you feel like something's wrong, maybe your identity is a bit. You just feel like you got no, everything sucks because you kind of aren't comfortable. You can't be yourself. And I'm sure we're going to hear that from a lot of young people.
I wonder whether social media plays a part in this too. And my mum's a school teacher, and I was speaking to her about this the other day, saying, gee, I'd hate to be a teenager in today's world when you've got so many different platforms to bully. But she did say to me, though, but that's all children of no one, so they've grown up with perhaps an extra layer to help them cope with that, because it's always been part of their life. Do you think that's how we can see that? I mean, there's Instagrams, there's I want to look good like this person on Instagram, but do you think that because they're used to it, they have an extra coating?
I think one of the things I really like what you're saying is for us to look at what is the benefits of social media that we're possibly not pushing hard enough on. So right now we hear a lot about the extra the pressure or the wanting to fit a potential body image, or all the different things social media might make us think as young people. But equally, it means we're more connected. It means that we don't have to. We can reach out in different ways, and maybe that's one of the things that we will be able to find we need to invest more in, because that's the opportunity for the government, is to look at e-therapy or online kind
how
of
people. I mean, I always thought it was really weird when I heard for the first time that Youthline was allowing people to text them. And I remember this was about 10 years ago, thinking, what a bizarre thing. No face-to-face communication. But if that's the way people are communicating these days, then I guess then so be it.
And I guess the other thing about that is if it's easier not to be face-to-face, because sometimes to actually talk about deeply personal issues, it can be confronting if you have to kind of sit there with a counsellor or someone else. So if that's what's going to work, we'd love to say that's what's going to work. So we'll look into that. Yeah.
Have you been given a time frame as to what you have to do and how you need to achieve it and all those types of milestones?
So we've got lots of flexibility on that, and we're going to, as a panel, work out our own time frame. So there'll be more information from us soon, but the 31st of October is the date we have to have our report to the government. And so everything, once we've had our first conversations on the 14th, we'll work out that and plan for that.
A lot of busy times ahead for you then. But also, what a good thing to be involved in.
I agree.
Purpose, meaning.
I think so. I
need
excited. I guess you've got lots of listeners you're helping share this with, so that is the purpose.
Nice to meet you.
Good to meet
Appreciate
you.
Appreciate your time. It is News Talk ZB 16.